Hello everyone, welcome back to another great video. Anyways, today we'll talk about Ronnie Wood's 1992 solo album, Slide on This. It's got a lot of cool people on it, Bernard Fowler, Chuck Leavell from the Stones, Charlie Watts, Simon Kirke, and Ronnie doing a lot of, obviously a lot of guitar work on here. This one's really good solo record, actually his fifth, so he's been pretty um, prolific, if I can't even say that word, but you know what I mean with his solo work. Well, anyway, and the album sounds really good. And first off, it comes out in 1992, and it kind of reminds me of sort of like Travis Tritt meets Robert Cray. It's got a lot of bluesy, sort of countryish rock mixed together. And I will say that I think he during the solo albums released at this time from Stone's members, this is probably the best one between him, Mick, and Keith. And another thing that kind of stands out when you listen to Ronnie's solo records is his influence on the Stones. You always Mick and Keith write all the songs and they get the songwriting credits, but when you listen to the guitars, they're obviously, writing these songs, then they play them together in the studio. I'm sure Ronnie throws in his ideas because you can definitely hear that influence here because obviously he's one of the main guitar players anyway. So anyways, we'll get on to these songs and it starts, and one thing I noticed, there's really until the very last song, and that's not even technically slow, that he doesn't do any slow, like some of those really slow kind of boring balladish type of songs. He just kind of, they're most pretty forward, straightforward rockers, some a few more up tempo than the others, but just and some maybe a little slower tempo, but nothing slow. Always, very trying to upbeat. He's not doing any ballads, and his voice sounds pretty good. He's got a pretty good voice, definitely unique, not like your typical rock singer. And he came up with this Slide on This title. He was listening to Whitesnake slide it in one night, and he just thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Slide on this, and then so he got a little inspiration from David Coverdale and Whitesnake on this one. So album starts off with Somebody Else Might. This is a good kind of mid-tempo rocker, Robert Cray kind of sound to it, and the guitars are really good. Then you go Testify, another cool rocker, straightforward. Once again, nothing slow. Then you move on to other songs like Ain't Rock and Roll, mid-tempo rocker. So right off the bat, it's just one after another where it's just there's nothing slow, nothing dragging. These songs are going pretty good. Then he gets into Josephine. This is at 5 minutes and 30 seconds, so it's fairly long, but this definitely has that 1992 kind of new country type of rock to it. Like I mentioned, Travis Tritt, or those guys that were around in that new country boom of the early 90s. So maybe he was influenced by that, or they were influenced by him one way or the other. Got Knock Your Teeth Out, another song that rocks. And then you go into Ragtime Annie, which is kind of it's a short kind of just country song with a lot of fiddles and guitar, and it's just music, and it's just to probably show his ability on these different guitar instruments, and it's kind of fun because it's not very long, so it doesn't take up a lot of time. Then you go to Must Be Love, which is a slower bluesy rocker, but not too slow. It's like he doesn't really go into the slow songs, so maybe slow tunes aren't really his thing, or he wasn't going for that on this record. Then Fear for Your Future. This one is mid-tempo, and he's singing in a little bit of a softer voice, which reminds me like when Keith Richards doesn't sing in his full voice, he's singing a little softer down, and it kind of works for him because he has, I don't know, not technically not like the typical singing voice. It's a good voice, but not in some ways like Keith Richards. It's not like your classical like, oh, this guy's a good singer, but it's, that definitely good voice that works for these songs. And the next one, Show Me, up-tempo rocker. This, you can definitely hear the Stones influence or his influence on the Stones. However you want to look at it on a song like this with a guitar riff and just like the tempo and everything. It just kind of reminds me of that type of tune that the Stones were going to put out in the 90s. And then he goes into Always Wanted More, which is a duet with Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. And 5 minutes, 44 seconds long. A bit long. It's slower, but not slow. And it kind of works because even though it's kind of a longer song, you don't really get bored with it because of the two guys singing, and it's musically very good. Then Thinking In is another softer kind of sound, but not slow. Once again, great guitars. His voice works with it. Then you go to back to Like It, another up-tempo rocker. Once again, he's going for all these more up-tempo, mid-tempo songs, not anything slow. He's just kind of going through, doing these kind of faster tunes. Then the very last one, Breathe on Me, 5 minutes, 40 seconds. It's just guitar only. It's a little slower, but once again, not slow. Because sometimes when you do these kind of songs, like a song like Breathe on Me, if it's too slow and it's just guitar, for somebody like me, it's just going to be too much, and especially at 5 minutes and 40 seconds. But it's got, even though it's guitar, it's got enough of an up tempo to be, not boring. Like, it's not going to kill you. So overall, this one, if you haven't heard this record, I would definitely check it out. It's very good. One of the better Stones solo records, I think, between all the guys in the band that do solo work. I think he's done a really good job with this one. I like it. You definitely hear his influence on the Stones, or them on him, however you want to look at it, with a little bit of the early 90s country rock thrown in there. But yeah, it's one, and I don't really remember from this time any of these songs getting played on the radio, or I don't know if I've ever heard any of his solo songs played on the radio, to be honest with you. But anyways, if you get a chance, check this out. And so this will be Ronnie Wood, Slide on This, inspired by Whitesnake, Slide It In. Well, anyways, thanks for sticking around. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.